They were really very wonderful people, very friendly, very family-oriented. Parish was much more the center of life. So there's not a lot of stuff around here, so Parish is really sort of center of life, and the kids would come around. We had a wonderful youth group, and as I mentioned in the talk, Father Murphy encouraged me to work with the kids, and we took them to the mountains, took them on trips and stuff like that, come down to build houses in Mexico, all that kind of stuff. Well, one thing, first of all, they saw me as a human being, not just as a man, a figure on the altar. Secondly, brought us close together. I think they could trust me and talk to me about things, and I just respected them. They're just great kids. As I remember, I wasn't aware of conflicts. Oh, you have them in every parish, every family, and every household, but I had nothing in the parish that I was aware of. If their little spats came up with people because they loved it so much, and they thought their idea was so good, but that's not how they worked together. I don't remember any long-standing feuds myself. They seemed to respect each other and work together. Very family-centered. I was associate priest, with Father Frank Cullen, and we had lots of fun. He was a great guy. Lots of funny stories. Remember one time, someone was drunk and drove their car up the front steps of that church down in the corner, and Frankie had to go rescue the guy, and we laughed over that. All kind of wonderful stories. Well, we had a good time together. I don't remember faces. They've changed and I've changed, but when they tell me stories, and parents of a couple of kids now, they're firemen and doing great things for the world. And it was just the friendships I made and retained a lot of them. Did a lot of the funerals of the old timers, things like that. Married some of them, so just great memories. Whenever we had anything, people were generous. They took part. I think we had no fiesta or something like that. Those things people always have. They were wonderful. They were great. Just many, many friends and many lovely people I met here. I think helping the people to meet their challenges. I mean, sometimes marriages would go astray. Sometimes kids would get into trouble. Sometimes so trying to meet their needs. People growing old, which I appreciate now. Just being with them and listening, doing what I could to help, loving them. Oh, I love that. I love the Present Church. To me, it's beautiful. The lines are clean. It's neat. People are really much closer to the altar. I love it.
How would you say that the present church is different from the old church? Like, what are some of the dramatic changes that
that time, people remember Mass was in Latin, so they didn't respond. A couple of kids were responding, so they were saying their rosary or making novena. Now they're involved in the church. Now they're doing ministry. Now they're reading the scriptures for us. Now they're giving out communion. I just love it. I think they're living their baptismal call as we're living our priestly call.
Were you able to come by St. Bernard around the time that the old church was being decommissioned and the time that this new church was
No, I don't remember. I do remember that when we built the new church, I was here, I mentioned in the homily that the thrill of that first Mass was midnight, Christmas midnight Mass, what perfect time too.
Were you here for that?
Yeah, I celebrated with Father Murphy and Father. It's just up so high. I mean, the new church, coming in for the first time in this beautiful new church. Choir had, worked themselves. The kids were ready. I will tell you one funny story. As a kid by the name of Danny Brady, I hope he doesn't listen, but Danny got sick one time outside over the incense in the vestibule.
And who was he? Who was Danny?
He's a real person, Dan Brady.
Oh, Dan Brady. And who was he? Was he a parishioner here at the parish?
Yeah, the kids served Mass that day.
Okay.
And instead of going out and vomiting, he ran through the church and he got up to this beautiful wood. It was Holy Saturday night. Got this wooden altar. It was dark because the lights were out. You bring in the Paschal candle, and all over this beautiful new parquet floor, Danny vomits. Well, I run after him. The second grade sister, I forget her name, and we were with cloths out there trying to clean this mess up, holding our breath and so forth. And the lights go on. Here we are, on Holy Saturday night, the night of the resurrection. Well, I would have forgotten every other Holy Saturday. I'll never forget that Holy Saturday. And Danny was just wonderful. He was so embarrassed, but great kid.
And what did you tell him?
Huh?
What did you tell him after that?
Well, nothing. This guy, he was so embarrassed. But what I didn't have to tell him anything. He just got sick. His kids do.
Yeah, that incense can be pretty potent. So that Christmas midnight Mass, because I'm always intrigued because it was the very first Mass. Was there a reason that the first mass was midnight mass as opposed to another mass, or was that?
I
was
think
that
they finished very close to that time. I can't remember exactly, but I do know reading that. And when I read it in the bulletin, the history of the parish, it brought back that memory of that beautiful mass.
And what was the mood like? What was the mood like that night?
Every Christmas has a wonderful mood. You know, people are just always touched by the mass, the scriptures, the manger, and so forth. But now in the new church, they were just high as a kite. Just great. Oh, he appeared to be stern, but he really was very kind. I remember my mother died. I was saying 6 o'clock mass, and he phoned me just before mass to tell me. And he would offer to come down. He was very kind. He offered to come down and take the mass. I said, no, I'll say it. I'll say it for my mother. He was very kind. He appeared to be, I think, strict, and the kids would think of that. But he had a heart of gold, and those who knew him knew that.
And I know that Father Murphy, as pastor, his biggest project was, of course, the new building of the church, and looking through the archives. Also, one of his biggest challenges because they had to pay for it, and so he was at the cusp of all that.
Debt.
And actually, there's bills from the different companies that were in charge of putting together the granite, the pews.
I don't remember what it cost,
yeah.
but today it would be 10 times.
And I know that he was selling like little dedication plaques all around the church. You could for $1,000 you could sponsor the altar. For $500 you could sponsor one of the pews or one of the
people
stained
very
glass
good.
windows. Yeah. So were you aware of those challenges existing
Sure.
at the time you were here?
Sure. Yeah. Now we didn't carry the load. We were free. We had all the responsibility of that kind of thing, but we were aware of it. Yeah.
What was it like then, knowing that you would have to now pay for? Not personally, of course, but what was it like? What were those challenges like? Did Father Murphy confide in you as far as those
No,
challenges?
I don't think so. He had a good bookkeeper. Young priests are not interested in finances, and somebody else takes care. They're like kids in the family; they just enjoy it. And I think that we were conscious that he had an obligation. We were very pleased with what he did in the church and all. But he didn't load that on us. He had a bookkeeper, and I'm sure he had friends he confided in, and others like that.
Well, I have these two pictures I showed you in the sacristy, and this is of course the first one.
Okay.
And if you want to take a look at that, what goes? I mean, is that right? Is that how it looked like, or did it change over time?
Absolutely, no. That was the church I knew. I came to, and that's the church where I celebrated Mass until the new church was open. So for about 2 years, maybe 3 years, I celebrated Mass. But I was happy to move on.
And you went.
But it was wonderful. There, I think there was side doors. I can't remember now. Sacristy behind, but it was lovely.
And then this other one from I wish I would have brought the one from the convent, but this is from the inside. Is that how it all? Is that how it looked over time, or did it change
I don't
over time?
remember that. I wonder if that was the. Maybe it was. Isn't it funny? But I can't remember, to tell you the truth. But I think it. I think it was. Compared. I mean, I don't. It was, people loved it, and it had a familiar tone to it. But compared to the simplicity and the straight lines and the graciousness of the new church, but they loved it. And I grew up in a church like that.
What are some of the things that you can point out that might be significant to you? Would you say? Are there anything statue or anything that might be
significant? They had a great
significant?
devotion to Saint Joseph, Italian Giuseppe, and of course they had the devotion to San Antonio. So you see those two statues. We have Sacred Heart. I wonder if this looks like the kids who are at Mass. It looks like the kids in school.
I think that's a
we always had a
confirmation,
First
yeah.
Friday, if you remember that First Friday Mass,
Yeah.
which I loved when I was a kid because we got cocoa and donuts or something afterwards. I'm not sure there's a lot of faith in it, but we loved it. Kids are kids. No, it was a lovely, many weddings, many funerals, many First Communions, a lot of faith.
And it looks exactly the same as you remember it.
As I remember it, for some reason the inside is not as familiar as the outside. It was the goodness of God, the graces, the response of the people, good leadership, good education in the school. And it's good-hearted people. And they always win.
And
that stuff doesn't make the headlines.
Yeah.
Doesn't make the headlines, but that's what makes. You want to hear these politicians are going to make America great? I say, no. Other people make America great. They've been making it great since the beginning. Families, couples, young people, the good work, Keep the faith. Keep the faith. We owe it to our ancestors, we owe it to our parents, our grandparents. Keep the faith, keep it going. Pass the torch. Just thank God for my life, and this has been a part of my life, those 4 years here. Very happy part of my life, many friends. I grew, you always grow in any place you are, you keep growing till you die, but I grew a lot here too. So I'm indebted to all the good people, the priests, the nuns, the kids that I met, families. I'm just grateful to God for all those gifts.
You look back on your time here at St. Bernard's with fond memories.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And of course, do you ever just say to yourself, 4 years? What's 4 years in the long span of things? Do you feel that you made a
No. The 4 years of your life, the 4 years filled with people, with ministry, with learning and receiving so much. So no. 1 year, 1 day is a gift. And I'm at the end of the life now, so every day is a very precious day.